All righty. I guess we're okay.
We're here.
Okay. So eh, let me, uh, Leanne, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well,
Fine.
I will tell you that after listening to what Ashley said and what Jennifer said, public investment, we're going to have to redefine what public investment looks like because it's not going to be, I mean, when we say public investment, everybody jumps to the legislature has to give us more money. Right, Leanne? I mean, that's
Yeah,
kind of
yes,
yeah.
yeah. And
So
and I started working on a way that we can in Henry County, we can do it without government. I mean, because we cannot count on government for that
absolutely,
funding forever. I mean, we just can't.
absolutely.
I mean, look at the trouble it got us in. I mean, it's really caused some issues for a lot of childcare providers out there because they depended on it so much. And so part of the coalition that I want to work towards is a way that we can provide some type of I don't know, money making something to help providers that they can actually work at, and we can provide something for the community. I guess my thought was doing something like a museum, a STEM museum of some sort, where we could pull in other communities to buy, to pay for something. But of course, that's going to take money for to do something like that. But still, I was looking at our community, and I think they would support something like that more than they do childcare. That's another thing. You have to look at in your community who are do they will they support childcare, or will they not? And I have not got a lot of business support in our community.
Well, so what you're saying is the first thing we have to do is redefine who public is,
Yes.
who
Yeah.
we want to have actually invested. And I think what learned even from that silly little speech I gave a couple weeks ago, people didn't know they needed to care about childhood development. You know, and your STEM museum or something like that. If I look at other public entities, not just government funding, I look at public schools, and I even look at faith communities because while they may not be funded publicly, they are made up of public. And some of the best work for little kids is being done in faith communities and schools. How do we generate energy around what they do that can
Mhm.
translate to that? And I think you're absolutely right. Engage people, the public. It's a little p, not a big capital. Because oftentimes when you think of public in this statement, it's the political and the political whims change about every week, don't they?
Yeah.
So, how do we engage the public? I mean, I think most people think that childcare is nothing more than stupid babysitting. Just dump your kids somewhere. And yet the power of what they do between 0 and 5. I mean, I think Erica, you're finding some of that, with your Dolly Parton library, right? I mean, you're
Mhm.
finding some public support for that.
Yes.
Erica's, if I see she's on there, I don't know
Well,
if
and she's on there too. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I
Erica,
know
are
that
you
that.
here?
maybe she left us.
Right.
There she can.
I'm here kind of. I'm doing school pickup right now.
Oh, okay.
So sorry.
Well, but we were just talking about the public you've identified who are funding your Dolly Parton library. We got to redefine who public is and that it's not just government.
Right. Yeah. And so ours is a donor that their mother was originally from Rush County and she passed away. So it's somebody who's not even like, I think they live in Indianapolis or somewhere. And they just wanted to know like what was going on in the community. and found out about the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, and they decided they wanted to help fund that.
So what enticed them to fund that, do you think?
So their mother that had passed away, she was a school teacher, so I think the love of learning and reading
Mhm.
that really caught on to them. But I mean, like they could have picked, like their names also on the name of our new community center. Like they could have put all their money towards the community center or towards other grants and funds at the community foundation, but the Imagination Library is what spoke to them.
So it connected emotionally to them. I keep going back to the hook has to get to somebody's gut and somebody's heart because
Yeah.
that's the way they fund things.
Yeah, you have to know the community too. And so, I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about Henry County, and I was thinking that if I could relate it to basketball and somehow and some
Mm.
kind of sports, because it's a big basketball community. And so, with a STEM, making sure that basketball's in there somehow, because, like I said, they are more willing to support the sports and those kind of things than they are childcare, which is sad to me. But you gotta look at all those avenues, and especially right
Absolutely.
now. I mean, you have to figure out how you're going to make this work without.
So do you have a YMCA that offers young kid sports? Our
We do.
YM our YMCA did a survey of the county. What did families need? They wanted organized, non-competitive sports for kids 3 to 7. And I'm blown away by what they've been able to generate. They've got grandparents who came in. Some of those grandparents helped fund the YMCA childcare. And, you know, the hook was let's get them in to watch little kids bouncing a ball once and then running with the ball and kind of throwing it. And so I think it's involving the community or the public in the lives of little kids. Then they see, I mean, like Erica's Dolly Parton, you know? So how do we use the hook to the public to get them interested and concerned about what happens to little kids? STEM is all right there. But I think you ought to go to the Basketball Hall of Fame and have them.
You know, it makes me think of, how important physical activity is for sports and how, in early childhood, they're learning in an early childhood setting how to act as a team and, the physical activities that you involve in your early childhood program. And if that's what's important to them and they want their children to have a leg up to learn those skills so that they can participate in teams like basketball, hey,
You know what, Mindy, that's my whole point is we can't just talk about childcare because they just see that as babysitting.
They
Mhm.
So
do.
what happens to little kids between 0 and 5, that's what we care about. And most of the childcare providers, and I know the ones Leanne works with, are really very developmentally concerned, I guess is that's a word, right, Leanne?
Yeah.
And so how do you translate that to this little kid having a leg up when they start school, you
Mhm.
know? And
Or in this case, when they start sports.
well, exactly when yeah, whatever. I think we make a mistake when we only look at the raw numbers of money in childcare when we don't talk about what happens to kids in those kind of situations and what happens to kids when they don't have that situation. You get kids coming to kindergarten who haven't a clue. But I don't know how to pull all of this together and get the public. I want to go back to the scholarship, what we heard in the legislative report. What is it about scholarship there's a legislation that's going to let organizations give scholarships. I didn't get that. Did you understand that, Leanne?
I didn't. Yeah, because that's the first time I've heard about it, heard about that. So that's something maybe we need a little more information on, throughout our meetings. DCAP is another one that I would like some more information
Yeah.
because I understand TriShare pretty much, but the DCAP, I would like to have a little bit more information
Mhm.
on that as we come back together too.
Well, one of the things I wrote down from what Jennifer was saying is part of what we can do to help the whole investment in childcare from business point of view even is to outline that for them because I'm sure they don't know either, and they
Right.
don't get scholarship, and they don't know, like what you were saying, Mindy, about the new tax credit. How can we make it simple and easy for employers to understand? I mean, that's part of how you begin to get somebody else
Right.
investing in all of this, is make it simple. If we can't understand it and we live in that world, and I don't live in that world 24/7 as you do, Leanne, so
I don't know. There's a big housing thing going on in Henry County, and I know that I've attended some of the housing meetings, and I've just said, you want more housing, but what are you gonna do when people move in and they need childcare? You want to open up all these, and it's low income. Some of it's low income, but still, how are you going to take care of that part? Um, but nobody, I mean, everybody kind of changes their changes it when I start mentioning that. It's almost like it doesn't even exist. I don't have to worry about that. So I have been following Facebook a little bit more, because I got real political for a while with it, and I still am to some extent with trying to approach some of the our legislators and trying to put some stuff out, for them to help them understand the importance of early childhood. But then I also get some things back that talk about childcare, like you mentioned, as just a fancy babysitter.
right.
That's what I saw several different replies from some of the things that I put out, um, when I do groups and stuff, and it's like, well, you're just talking about a fancy babysitter, that's all, and it's that how do we get them to understand that part, that it's not a fancy babysitter, we're not babysitters. But and Mindy, this has been something we've dealt with
I know,
for
Leanne.
a lifetime, it seems like.
I know, Leanne. I'm flashback into sitting around tables with you
Yeah,
many years ago.
it's like, how in the world, why are we still here,
I
you
know.
know
Because you
and then
care too much.
What
our government took some steps forward for a while. Indiana did, but now they've taken so many backward steps that it's
Yeah.
like, what in the world is going on?
You know,
Sometimes I want to move to a different state. I mean, just to
don't.
be honest.
I wouldn't do that. My business partner and I worked with the Kansas Health Foundation back in the mid 90s to mid 2000, that first decade. And they had a very progressive leader who wanted to make Kansas the best place in which to raise a child. And to do that, they focused on funding programs and projects for the 0 to 3. I had to do a conference. I had to create this conference, and I brought in this Bruce Perry, who still works on traumatic brain issues, and all of the people from the University of Chicago, all these folks. Kansas was making great progress, and then they elected a very conservative Republican governor who got rid of all of that stuff. So for every step forward, we take 10 back. And you have to have a champion. And I don't know that we have a state champion right now.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
Mm-mm.
I really don't feel like we do.
So there's a little thread that I have. One of my previous staff members' first day on the ELAC committee was today. And I'm like, I know she knows it. Maybe she can get in there and work some magic. But uh,
Well, you know what? I'm 82 years old,
yeah,
and I have faced I mean, my grandson's taking this class on the oppressed. And I said I was oppressed when I was told as a college student I could not be a math major because I was a woman. And if you look at a while ago, when somebody said that that one childcare provider got bronze ear, and I mouthed it because it was a man, most of the world of early childhood rests in the lap of women, and we are discounted more often than not as whatever. And so, how do we, and I hate to say it, we need a man to be a spokesperson. I don't mean that, but how do you get to be a place where your voice is not discounted? In the, I don't, I'm a little more political, it won't go anywhere. In this current environment politically, nationally and statewide, women are discounted. We're just ignored. And okay, that's my, sorry about that. Yeah, you don't need to agree with the political part, but the fact that we are a female-led industry is a real problem.
yeah.
How do you get beyond that?
So
We're
it,
keep work.
a couple more thoughts to wrap us up because I know
What
we need to be
happens if
closing. Is
every
there
single
more?
childcare provider closes for one day? Every single one of them. I guarantee they'll get someone's attention.
Well, here you got the attention of, but not the people who had the. Jeff Ratz, our senator, didn't care if 5 different child cares were closed on the snow day and parents were yelling at him. Well, go get your grandmother to take care of him. You
You know
know,
what?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
I mentioned the church childcare earlier, that my church childcare, because they closed as well. And on Wednesday, we got a call from an employer wanting to know if we had truly closed because their employee stayed home because they didn't have childcare. And so that got the attention
interesting,
of that employer.
interesting.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
That
Nothing
is.
to do with that.
Mm-hmm. So it definitely got their attention.
I know I've seen a lot of parents upset because the schools were closed. I mean, I've seen, because all of our programs are in schools, and so that was interesting to see that parents think about schools as their babysitter. I mean that.
It really kind of is their childcare though, because what would they do with those younger children
Right, right.
if they didn't have public school? I mean, you
Yeah,
see,
yeah,
they
I found
scramble
that
to find
interesting.
answers in the summer and on breaks.
Yeah.
So I think we should probably wrap up and get back to the full group.
I'm going to close all windows now, or close all rooms.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.